Hello and welcome to Thought for June the 11th. Our readings are Judges chapter 9, Isaiah chapter 35 and 1 Peter chapter 1. And our thought is preparing our minds for action. These words jump out at us in 1 Peter chapter 1 verse 13. What action? In one sense, each morning we need to prepare our minds for action each day, to make that day count in service before God. Believers through the centuries have encountered times of crisis and a climax in their lives. The Jewish exiles to whom Peter was writing were suffering persecution, probably because of the rebellion of the Jews in Jerusalem against Rome in AD 67 to 70. Yet for the truly faithful, these were also occasions of deliverance, even if that deliverance should be being taken out of this life, as happened to Stephen, the first martyr, as we read in Acts chapter 7 and verse 60. Peter writes of those who, by God's power, are being guarded through faith for a salvation ready to be revealed in the last time, as we read in verse 5. Your faith has saved you is a phrase in one form or another we often encounter in the New Testament. We sense that this will be particularly true in the final years of human rule on this earth. It is increasingly apparent that we live in those years. Now note what Peter further writes. If necessary, you have been grieved by various trials, so that the tested genuineness of your faith, more precious than gold, may be found to result in praise and glory and honour at the revelation of Jesus Christ. Verses 6 and 7. Peter writes of the time when those with such a faith will rejoice with joy that is inexpressible and filled with glory, obtaining the outcome of your faith, as we read in verses 8 and 9. Our Isaiah reading, chapter 35, has wonderful words about this time when the faithful come to Zion with singing. Everlasting joy shall be upon their heads. They shall obtain gladness and joy, and sorrow and sighing shall flee away. Verse 10. So let us start each day by preparing our minds for action, having purified your souls by your obedience to the truth, as Peter says in verse 22. An obedience shown by our love for one another, earnestly from a pure heart, through the living and abiding Word of God. Verse 22, which we must make sure we feed on every day. Well, thank you once again for joining us for Thought for the Day, where together we can open up that Word of God, remembering that it is a lamp to our feet and a light to our path.